So in this video, we are going to be talking about whether or not the Indiana Fever should keep Lexie Hull next year, whether they should re-sign her, and the short answer is yes. Duh. Like, there is a short and a long answer for this, and I think the short answer is obviously. Like, I think you can make the argument that this is, like, she's one of the more important players for the Indiana Fever to bring back. And I think that there's a couple of really important questions you have to ask when it comes to bringing back Lexie Hull as a guarantee, because I think
she's a restricted free agent, plain and simple. That means the Indiana Fever ultimately decides her future. There's a 95% chance she's staying put, whether it's her preference or not. The team holds the leverage, and even if she quietly desired a fresh start somewhere else, she'd never voice it publicly. The truth is straightforward. The Fever needs her, and they have the power to keep her, making any departure nearly impossible. It's a strategic limitation, but one she understands serves a bigger purpose. Her importance to the franchise runs much deeper than the wording of a contract.
I think that there's a couple of really important questions you have to ask when it comes to bringing back Lexie Hull as a guarantee, because I think she is a 95% chance she's coming back. She's a restricted free agent, so as long as the Fever want her to keep her, and she's back. Like, it is not, even if she doesn't want to play for the Fever are going to re-sign her and trade her. And there's no way Lexie Hull is going to come out and say she doesn't want to play for Fever. Like, it's as simple as that. She's not going to go and do that. So, for Lexie, the scenario that they 1,000,000% are going to...
The real reason behind this ironclad hold becomes clear when you look at the projected starting backcourt: Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Neither is particularly known for elite lockdown defense. With two high-powered scorers who can be exposed in space on the defensive end, the Fever are staring at a major vulnerability. That reality creates an unmistakable need for a third player who can cover those gaps. Someone capable of disrupting opposing offenses on their own and absorbing the defensive burden, so the star guards don't have to.
Do that. So, for Lexie, the scenario that they 1,000,000% are going to keep Lexie and need to keep Lexie is if Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell is the backcourt. Because if Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell is your backcourt, you are not going to be a defensive stopper team. You are not going to... There's no scenario where that third defender needs to be a stopper, because a lot of times with Caitlin and Kelsey's a much improving defender.
This is where Lexie Hull becomes absolutely indispensable. She's not just a solid defender, she's a defensive catalyst. Her value isn't rooted in pure one-on-one shutdown ability, since her foot speed doesn't always place her among the elite in that category. Instead, she stands out as the league's premier wing disruptor. She fractures offensive rhythm, generates deflections, draws charges, and forces opponents into entirely different patterns of play. In a defensive system built around Clark and Mitchell, her impact isn't optional, it's foundational.
When you have two of non-that type players, Lexie Hull as your starting three as a defensive playmaker is really important, because she'll break up the other team's offense. She'll break up the other team's rhythm. She'll take other team's star players out of their game, whether that be deflections, whether that be hustle plays, whether it be taking charges. Like Lexie Hull, we've seen it when Aaliyah Copper's absolutely cooked her, and we saw it in the playoffs when she just kept getting burned by Alicia Gray. Like, she's not great. Like, you can burn her in space. So if, for example, you decide the Fever...
We've already seen the effect she can have. Think back to when Aaliyah Copper suddenly stopped torching everyone. Lexie Hull was the one who consistently threw her off rhythm. Even against players like Alicia Gray, who can blow past most defenders in space, Lexie managed to interfere just enough to disrupt their flow. She's the Fever's essential counterpunch, a wing defender who can dismantle an opponent's action before it even starts. Her ability to neutralize perimeter threats is rare, and it directly shores up the defensive weaknesses of the Fever's star backcourt.
Should the Indiana Fever give it to her? Yeah. They have the money to do it this year. If Lexie Hull wants a long-term max contract, should the Indiana Fever give it to her? That is where the conversation becomes tricky. If she signs a 1-year max and then leaving the Fever able to renegotiate that salary when Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark get out of their rookie deals, then you're in a situation where, okay, we can renegotiate, we can see how Lexie's doing, we can reevaluate our team, see what we need to win.
Consider a hypothetical. If the Fever somehow landed a true elite defensive stopper, someone like Jackie Young, who can single-handedly erase an opponent's top scorer, then Lexie Hull's immediate necessity in the starting lineup might lessen. In that scenario, Clark could take the weakest defensive matchup while the stopper handled the primary threat. But without that kind of lockdown defender on the roster, Lexie's disruptive skill set becomes indispensable. Her ability to destabilize offenses isn't just helpful, it's irreplaceable.
Okay, we can renegotiate, we can see how Lexie's doing, we can reevaluate our team, see what we need to win. If she wants a 2-3 year max, and you're then stuck in a situation in 2028, coming into 2028 season, where Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Lexie are your max players, your big three, then you have to choose whether to get rid of a Kelsey Mitchell or a Lexie Hull. And you're going to have to do that in trade. You probably end up letting Kelsey Mitchell walk, and you don't have the money to bring in that like tertiary star. And I think paying a max contract for a...
However, with Kelsey Mitchell locked into the lineup, Lexie's ability to disrupt opposing offenses, despite not being a pure one-on-one stopper, becomes essential. While DGNA is also an aggressive wing defender and capable disruptor, she too can get beaten in space. The distinction often comes down to reliability. Fewer defensive lapses, cleaner reads, and steadier execution. That's where Lexie separates herself. Her advanced defensive instincts and sharp anticipation make her the natural choice to anchor the wing and stabilize the entire unit.
And I think paying a max contract for a 9.5 point per game disruptor who's not a stopper, while you don't have the contract to bring in a stopper and bring in that second star, becomes really problematic. If Lexie Hull, and I think there are teams that are going to offer her a shitload of money, because unfortunately there are teams that have a shitload of money. There are teams that have a lot of money and rookie deals. And my guess is that if you can get my guess is that they offer Lexie a big time one.
The discussion gets complicated once money enters the picture. If Lexie Hull pushes for a max contract, the Fever can afford to give it to her, at least for this season. But the structure of that max deal is what truly matters. A 1-year max is manageable and relatively low risk. A long-term max, however, is an entirely different commitment, one that carries major implications for the team's financial flexibility and long-term roster planning. That difference becomes the pivotal crossroads in her contract negotiations.